Let me tell you how I stopped relying solely on motivation to chase my dreams and goals. Like most people, I used to struggle. I had big goals, big dreams. For instance, I wanted to lose weight and get better with exercise, pay my debts, reduce social media, become a content creator, and meditate. You know, all the habits we see other people have, but for some reason, I didn't. It didn't matter how much I tried, I just couldn't achieve anything. Or in some cases, I would achieve some success, like losing the weight, only to gain it back. These failures led to depression, confusion, and anxiety. However, despite all this, in the back of my head, I always knew there was a way to get better. But how? How? This led me to do some research. I had to sit down and research the real reason why others succeeded while I couldn't. What was the one thing or things people were doing that I wasn't? After hours upon hours of research, I learned that one of the biggest problems people face when trying to build habits was inconsistency. This was due to various factors such as lack of motivation, external distractions, and unrealistic expectations. Additionally, forming new habits often required time, effort, and patience, which could lead to frustration and discouragement if immediate results weren't seen. But this wasn't me, I thought to myself. I felt like I had the motivation, the time, and the realistic expectations. But why was I still failing? All I wanted was the one solution that could help me achieve my dreams and goals, because I was really tired of failing. Well, after reading dozens of articles and watching countless videos, luck smiled upon me. I fell on a man called James Clear, an American author of the best-selling book Atomic Habits. James talked about how to build sustainable habits by improving 1% every day. Just 1%. He said all we needed was 1% improvement in everything we did. According to his research, James discovered that if you were able to improve by 1% each day for an entire year, those gains would compound, making us 37 times better at the end of the year. And if you were to get 1% worse, you would shrink yourself almost all the way down to zero. That hit me deep. But it's his next words that got me to understand what I was truly doing wrong. He said, everybody wants a transformation. Everybody wants rapid success. But we fail to realize that it's the small habits and little choices that are transforming us every day. And just like that, it hit me. All this time, it was never about the goal. It was about creating a system that gets you to the goal. Meaning that if you wanted to build any goal or sustain any habit, don't focus on going 0 to 100. Instead, focus on going from 0 to 10, then from 10 to 20, then from 20 to 30, and so on, until you get to 100. The goal is to build sustainable habits through gradual progression. Of course, I couldn't believe that it was that easy. I had so many doubts, but nevertheless, I had to at least test it out and see if it was really possible. So in order to do this, I listed some of my goals and habits that I wanted to build. First, I was overweight. I wanted to learn how to drink more water and understand why some people had so much energy to work out every day.
Stay hard!
In other words, I wanted to learn how to exercise. Second, I always had anxiety and depression, and because of that, I wanted to learn how to meditate. Third, while others wanted the supercars, all I wanted was a regular car because I was so tired of missing the bus. And lastly, I had $10,000 of credit card debt, and I wanted to learn how to pay it off. I really doubted whether it was possible to really build these habits and attain these goals using the one rule, which was getting 1% better each day. And sometimes I would even catch myself thinking, what does it even mean? As a matter of fact, what's 0 to 10? How does that relate to buying a car? I was so confused, but I was determined to find out. I had to find a way, one way or the other. But in all seriousness, was it possible? Well, let me save you some time. The answer was yes. But how, you may ask? How?
Relax. I got you.
Let me explain this step by step. See, the goal was to get 1% better every day. I had to ask myself, how can I truly get 1% better? Just 1%. Well, I had 3 guesses. First, I had to stop relying on motivation because I'm one of those people, you know, the ones who get so pumped up after listening to a song or an inspirational video on YouTube. The type that waits for a new month or new year to start a new habit. I had to understand that motivation is fickle. It can come and go in waves, leaving you feeling unstoppable one day and completely unmotivated the next. Relying solely on motivation set me up for inconsistency and could always lead to frustration when I inevitably hit a motivation slam. The second was that I had to stop having unrealistic expectations. I was never going to reduce my social media addiction by deleting the apps. No, that did not work. I had to go from 0 to 10, not from 0 to 100. In this case, I had to put my social media apps on the last page of my phone inside a folder, meaning that it kept the app out of my mind and made it a little bit harder to reach. I had to understand that if I was gonna achieve anything, I had to take it really slow, because I learned that this could take time, effort, and patience. And for my third guess, I remembered that during my research, I was made aware that building habits could lead to frustration and discouragement if immediate results weren't seen. This meant that I had to find a way to at least reward myself. And so I did. I downloaded an app called Done that could help me track all my new habits. I knew I was on the right track because, according to James Clear, the best way to change long-term behavior is short-term feedback. He says by measuring your progress, you get an immediate reward in the moment. And so I began. The game plan was to go from 0 to 10. First up was weight loss. Now, in order to lose weight, I knew I had to exercise and drink more water. The old me would watch all the videos on YouTube about weight loss transformation for days. I would look at athletes, models, everybody that had a six-pack. I would even get a gym membership, buy new shoes, you know, all the things we do. But I wasn't gonna be like my old self this time, waiting for motivation and a new month to start off. No, not this time. I was not gonna set unrealistic goals like exercising 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, or setting my Apple Watch to 1,000 calories a day, 1 hour of exercise, and 12 standing hours. No, I was going to start from 0, literally 0. That meant I had to change my watch goals from 1,000 calories to 250, my exercise from 1 hour to 10 minutes, and my standing goal from 12 times to 6. It meant no fancy gyms. All exercises were to be done from home. I had to find space within my house and exercise for just 10 minutes every day for at least 5 days. In my case, I was skipping a rope for 10 minutes in my boxers early in the morning. When I told you I was lazy, I meant it. Finding gym clothing was too much for me. Once I hit my goal for the day, I loaded it in my app. The second was to reduce my anxiety and depression through meditating. I knew I had to learn how to meditate because all the greats talked about it. But of course, I was always skeptical because I used to be one of those people that thought men did not need stupid things like meditating. Oh boy, was I wrong. Now, of course, I had tried meditating in the past for like 30 minutes each day, but that proved to be too much for me. I just couldn't see the point and didn't feel like it worked, meaning I had given it up. But this time, I was ready to give it a new shot. And this time, I was not gonna start with 30 minutes. No, not even 10. I was gonna start with 3 minutes of just sitting there doing nothing. And when I was done, I loaded it in my app. The third was a goal of mine, and that was to get a car. This one was tricky because it was not a habit, it was a goal. And it didn't help that at the time I was on minimum wage working as a lifeguard. I knew I was not going to be able to save enough money to get a car because my credit was already bad. I had to find a way to make more money passively, meaning that my money worked for me while I was sleeping. This led me to learn different ways of making money. During my my research, I discovered stock investing. This is a process of buying shares of ownership in a public company, meaning you own a piece in companies like Apple, Microsoft, or Nvidia. But then I thought to myself that I wasn't making enough money to invest in such companies. Boy, was I ignorant. I later discovered that this wasn't true. I learned you could invest in stocks through a process called dollar cost averaging. This is where you're able to invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals over time, regardless of the current price of the investment. Meaning I could buy a piece of a single share of Apple that costs $100 for like $10 or $20. And so I did. To cut the story short, during my investing time, I discovered option trading, which enables a person to get more crazy returns on their investment. This led me to invest even more. And every time I invested something, it didn't matter if it was $1, $9, or $500. I loaded it on the app just so I could see my progression. And the fourth was to get out of debt, which was a goal as well, not a habit. The goal here was to pay off $10,000. I once tried to pay it off, but just thinking about the $10,000 would always overwhelm me, meaning that I wouldn't even look at my bank account balances anymore, which in turn led me to give up. I had to come up with a different way this time, following the one simple rule: get 1% better every day. In this case, in order to do this, I started lying to myself. I told myself that the bank did not owe me $10,000. No, it only owed me $500. Just $500. And all I had to do was pay back the $500 at the end of each month, which was a lot, I admit. But I knew I could do it if I picked up a side hustle. That meant working a few extra hours here and there. And every time I saved, it didn't matter if it was $5 that day, 30 or 40. I loaded it on the app. Well, after days, weeks, months of working upon my goals and habits, it goes suffice without saying that it worked. I started to lose the weight. I learned how to meditate. I was able to afford a new car, and I paid off all my debts in 1 year. Now, obviously not through the 10 minutes exercise, the 1 minute meditation, or the dollar cost averaging and saving the minimum. No, I was able to do this because I tried getting 1% better every day. I went from 0 to 20, then from 20 to 30, all the way to 60, and not yet 100, because I'm still working upon it. I was able to do all this because as I was working on the little things, I started to notice consistency, because everything felt a little easier. And because of that, the results went on to build upon each other. The 10 minutes indoor exercise in my boxers turned from 10 to 20. Then from 20 minutes indoors to 20 minutes outdoors. Then from 20 minutes to 1 hour. The 1 sip of water a day turned to a cup, then to a bottle, then to 2 bottles. The 3-minute meditation went from 3 minutes to 5 to 10 to 30. From just sitting there to mindful meditation, attention to detail, focus, pinpointing what I was doing wrong. It led me to self-discovery, which in turn led me to do more research, taking me all the way to Stoicism, to ancient Greek philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, where I learned to be calm and patient. The random $10 I used to invest here and there turned to $50 more, then to $100, all the way to $700, cause I got addicted to seeing my portfolio grow more and more. It forced me to study even more and learn how to risk more in a safe manner. This increased my return to 1000% during Tesla's bull run in the stock market. This enabled me to ditch the bus and to get my own car. That trick I used of lying to myself that I was owed $500 as opposed to $10,000 enabled me to pay off my $10,000 debt in a year. It was only possible because I stopped focusing on the impossible goal that I just couldn't think about to something that I could manage. Saving an extra $71 each week through my side hustle helped me to build momentum, forcing me to push myself myself a little more and more, enabling me to increase the amount I paid more and more. I was amazed at how changing 1% of my everyday habits changed my life 100%. I used this 1% approach for months in everything I did. I used it to move out of my parents' home, reduce my social media addiction, and it's the reason you're watching this YouTube video today. Now, of course, there are more tips and strategies I use to get better, but for this video, I stuck to the same rule, which is 1% better. Meaning, I didn't want to overwhelm you with 10, 20 tips and strategies on how to get better. No, I wanted you to take one concept from this video and to use that to get 1% better. Now, I understand that for some, it's challenging to break old habits, and overcoming ingrained behaviors can be difficult to modify. Additionally, people may encounter difficulties in identifying the right habits to focus on. All I want you to take from this is that yes, it's hard, especially when it comes to staying motivated or consistent. But all you have to do is try to become 1% better. Just one. Meaning, if you have 10 drinks every day, today have 9. If you watch porn 5 times a day, today watch it 4 times. If you smoke a pack every day, smoke 1 less cigarette a month. Try being just 1% better, and trust me, your life will change.